So this morning we're going to start in a lying down position. And we're going to kind of just shake everything out very gently for pretty much the whole session. I'm going to lean back gently. You want to be towards the front end of the mat because you need plenty of room towards the back of the mat. Lengthen the legs out, about hip distance apart. And you'll notice that the hands are just sort of floating around in the air, elbows are on the ground. I'm just going to begin by rolling the wrists and the ankles around. You can close the eyes if you wish. You can work with your breath, or you can just allow those sort of rolling motions to take place at their own natural speed. So as well as rolling the ankles around, we're trying to stretch the toes a little bit as well. And they're going to take that a little bit further and see if I can roll the thighs in and out with the toes and the foot as it rolls around, which takes a little bit more coordination. And again, with the wrists rolling around, I'm going to stretch the fingers around as well. It's kind of playing piano as you move through. And we're going to let the hands come back down by the side. As we bring the feet together a little bit more, start to stretch one hip bone further forwards, then the opposite, alternating from side to side. So the feet are actually pedaling past each other, but it's just the hips moving around underneath us. Again, you can do that as slowly or quickly as you wish. You can point the toes out, flip-flop the legs if that helps. And I'm going to slide the heels in. The knees come high. Let's fit hands on top of those kneecaps and spread them into some nice big circles. So you can take the knees in the same direction, or you can take them apart from each other. It's your choice. And again, working at a speed that feels comfortable for you. We're looking to open the hips a little bit, but also work into the pelvis and the lower back. So just waking it up a little bit. And hello to those discs in the lower back. Bring the feet to the floor. Lengthen the legs out, keep the legs together, point the toes away, hands down by the side of the body, palms down. And then inhale, take the hands high. Start to flex the toes towards you, press out through the heels as you drop your hands to the floor behind your head. And inhaling up, pointing the toes away, squeezing the thighs in a little bit, drawing the lower back to the floor, hands come down by the hips. Then inhaling up, we flex the toes towards us. Those hands drop down to the floor behind. We're trying to keep the lower back connected to the ground all the way through. And we roll the thighs in a little bit as we come forwards with the hands. And just flexing the feet, pressing out through the heels. Now, the easiest way to get the hands to touch the floor is to take the hands a little wider than the shoulders. This is called an Astro Stretch. That's the same as you bring the hands over towards the hips, slide the heels in towards the bottom, draw the knees in towards the body, wrap your hands around the shins, chin towards the chest. Give yourself a little bit of hug. See how it feels to roll a little bit on the spine from side to side. Take a few breaths here. And we'll bring the feet to the floor again, close in. The arms out wide. We'll take the left leg up, cross that over the right, just drop the foot down to the floor so the thighs are on top of thigh, and then let the legs roll over towards the right. So then maybe not going as deep into the twist as you would sometimes because that top leg kind of acts as a natural break. Some people have got a lot more movement in their spine and the hips, and they can drop them down further, but kind of average place. Legs will be floating a little bit in the sky. Shoulders are just rested against the ground. And breathing easy, feeling that nice gentle, hopefully stretch around the outside of the hips, and a little bit in the spine. And then we'll draw the abdominal muscles in and roll the hips back, putting very little weight into the arms and the shoulders, and extend the leg back out, give a little shake as the foot comes down, realign the spine. And we'll take the right leg up, cross that over, drop the foot down. Get a nice strong connection, wrap one thigh on top of the other, and then just easing the feet gently on the exhale over. And again, just drawing the abdominal muscles in, rolling the spine gently back, and tangling the legs a little, knees in towards the body. And a little hug. And then we'll let ourselves roll onto the right side. Use the hands to press into the floor. Swing the feet towards the back of the mat. So coming into heading forwards on the knees. We'll have the knees about hip distance apart, so relatively narrow. And just bring the hands underneath the forehead. Elbows out to the side. Come into child's pose. Breathing into your belly so you feel that gentle pulsing stretch into the spine. Try and let those shoulders roll away from your ears. We've been here for a few breaths. See if you can just let your head drop all the way to the ground and then take the hands towards your toes, palms facing up. slowly take the hands forwards, about shoulder distance apart, towards the hands, and walk them over to the right side into a side bend. Let the head come down again. Now we're really leaning into just one side. The exhale, just gently move over to the opposite side. How that feels in comparison. Come back into the center. Lifting ourselves up just a little bit. Onto all fours. Stretch one leg out at a time behind. Ensure that your hands are underneath your shoulders and actually press away from the floor a little bit rather than sort of collapsing down into the shoulders. Let's push away so we're getting a little bit of abdominal reaction as well. And we'll take the opposite leg. Do the same. Press out through the heel, toes are tucked under. Just starting to feel the glutes firing up in the thighs. So if they're not, you're not pushing back quite as far as you need to. Let those knees come back down to the floor. We'll tuck the toes underneath, sit back onto the heels from one of our favorite toe stretches. I always find that in the morning, this is seems to be more extreme than it does if I've actually had the day walking around. So always keep the fingertips on the floor if this feels a little bit too much weight, too much stretch into those toe joints. And let ourselves come forward anyway, and then untuck the toes and sit back down onto the heels. And begin to just roll the shoulders around gently. Nice big juicy circles. So these ones do want to be slow so that we can emphasize the stretch sort of in the spine, sort of mid-region. So there's a flex and extend. And then we'll take a few rolls in the opposite direction. And then we're going to take it into the spine a little bit more. Just taking the hands forwards. We're going to tilt the pelvis forwards so you can lift your chest towards the sky, roll the shoulders back, and let the head kind of follow where your heart is pointing, which will be up to sort of somewhere between that ceiling and the wall area, directly to the ceiling. And then tilt the pelvis backwards as far as you can, let the spine round, draw your belly in towards your spine, just let your chin drop, the shoulders wrap around a little bit. Just carefully moving through that, instigated by tilting the pelvis and then lifting the spine up, out, rolling through. So again, you might be breathing and working slower or quicker than me, as long as it feels safe in your spine. We'll take that back for the last time. Sitting up tall, taking the hands behind and placing the fingers gently, drawing them down towards the floor, but keeping the belly drawn in. And just easing the hands away from the body. Take them slowly higher and higher and higher. Squeezing the shoulder blades together a little bit. And start to lean forwards and ease your body over your thighs. Allow yourself to bring the forehead to the floor. If it doesn't reach, use the block underneath the head. Give yourself a little bit of a chance. And then we're going to see if we can lift the bottom gently, but not putting too much weight into the neck as we go over. And lifting the bottom up as high as we can. Take the hands towards the front of the mat. Well, that way intentionally anyway. And pushing the shins lightly into the ground. Chin is very much locked in towards the chest. That is drawn in and up a little bit. And then we'll roll gently back down. And release the hands and take them back out in front. And lift up from child's pose, tabletop. We'll stretch the right leg out again to the back of the mat. And let's travel that out to the side. Sole of the foot to the floor, 90 degrees-ish. And then press down through the foot and the shin and the hands at the same time. And feel that inner groin just activating a little bit more. And we'll release. Slide that foot back. Take it to the other side. The leg goes back gently first. Goes out to the side second. Sole of the foot flat to the floor. And then press it down through those 4 points of contact. Trying to keep the hips as neutral to the ground as possible. So the two sort of hip crest bones front of your waist, try and be the same distance from the floor rather than rolling the spine over. And slide that foot back. And then we're ready to take our first down dog. So tucking the toes underneath, we can lift up. Just step ourselves out gently and have a little pedal through the legs if that feels good. Or you can just be nice and still. It's your choice. Both stretches are as effective as each other. Just following naturally what feels good in your body. Get into a nice steady position and draw the right knee towards the chest. Bring that foot through between the hands. Let the back knee down onto the floor. It's a nice classic lunge position, and the fingertips will lift up a little bit. I'm going to keep the fingertips on the floor. Just let the front knee travel forwards, that extra sort of 1/2 inch to 1 inch. trying to keep the knee in towards the center line a little bit. I find that as my knee travels forwards, it kind of pops out to the side. So drawing that in. And then the hips sink to the floor as you lift the chest, and the shoulders back a little bit. So the hands are bearing a little bit of weight just so that you don't take too much stress into your knee. Belly's drawn in a little as well. And those groins, hips, flexors stretch out nicely. We'll bring the hands back to the ground. Tuck ourselves back into our down dog. Ease the hips up towards the sky and back, so kind of developing into the pose. And then drawing the opposite knee in towards the chest, bringing that foot through. Letting the knee down onto the floor. So starting with the knee over the ankle, come up onto those fingertips as we did before. And then we'll just let the knee travel that little bit further forwards. So some people are going to get a lot more distance in that than me, but for me, sort of less than an inch usually. And I can feel immediately a big difference in the groins, the hips, the hip flexors, both hip joints. Lifting the chest a little bit, rolling the shoulders back, so it feels like you're letting them slide down towards the ground a little bit behind you. Pressing very lightly into that rear shin. Tuck the toes underneath on the back foot. Ease to that down dog. Now we'll slowly walk the hands towards the back of the mat, into a forward bend. Hopefully the feet are parallel, about hip distance apart. Bring the hands onto the shins. So let's lift up halfway. Take a breath in. Slide the hands down the shins towards the ground. Soften the knees as much as you need. Come back up. Ease your way down. Lifting up. And try to get the sense of the weight being even through the feet. If you have a tendency to pronate a little bit, you have to concentrate on pressing the big toe down to the floor a little more. Just working through your own breath. And we'll take the hands to the front of the mat again. Just moving gently into a down dog position. And we'll take the right leg to the outside of the right hand. Drop the back knee down onto the floor as we untuck the toes. Draw that right elbow to the sky. Let ourselves open up into a twist. Press down through the bottom hand. Let the knee hang out to the side a little bit if it wants to. And bring the hand back down to the floor. Step it back into our down dog. Take a breath in. And draw the opposite leg outside of the opposite hand. Try and keep the hips over the center line as much as you can. Draw the elbow up first. So easy on the twist. It's much easier on the shoulder, on that top side anyway. Bottom arm is always doing a lot of supporting. Hands come back down. Step it back into our down dog. Draw the right knee in towards the chest. Bring the foot through. And this time the lunge is a little higher. So again, we're on the fingertips, pressing out through the back heel, lengthening the tailbone away. So feeling that whole of that back leg starting to fire up. And then dropping the heel down onto the center line, ready for warrior two. Knees, the hands on the thigh, keep it nice and easy to lift. Turn the chest, keep the groins open, floating arms out wide. You can weight through both feet, pressing down. Try and relax the shoulders a little bit, draw the belly in a fraction. And then we'll bring the hands in towards the heart. Rotate towards the floor. Bring hands down. Step it back into our down dog. Draw the left knee in. Bring the foot through to our lunge. Press out through that back heel. Roll the shoulders back a bit. On the fingertips, a slightly higher lift. Setting that front leg up nicely. Hips over the center line. Drop the back heel down again. Hands onto the front thigh, so we push into the shin, down through the heel. Open it up, draw the belly in a little. Hands into the heart. Down onto the floor we go. Step it back into our down dog. I'll draw the right knee through again. Placing the foot towards the front of the mat. Dropping the heel in. And take a little breath from here. Hands onto the front thigh as we lift in to our warrior two. The arms out and then straighten slowly into that front leg. Send the hips a little towards the back of the mat. And then slowly lean out over that front thigh. Take ourselves into our triangle pose. Try to lift the body up out of that front leg. So although the hand is touching the shin, there's very little weight there. We're able to push the foot flat to the floor to take a little bit more protection into the back of the knee, so it doesn't feel like you're overstretching the bottom of the hamstring quite so much. Soften the front knee. Bring ourselves back down to our down dog. And we'll draw the left leg in. So it comes through. Drop the back heel in. Hands onto the front thighs. We take that gentle, safe lift. Arms open out. Again, we slowly straighten the front leg. Send the hips towards the back a little bit. Just a little friendlier to the hip joints. Lengthen out gradually. Move the hands into position and roll the chest round. Soften the front knee. Bring the hands down to the floor again. This time we'll step into the front of the mat. Into that forward fold. Make sure the feet are a nice hip distance apart and parallel. And then soften the knees down into chair pose. Just take the hands away gently from the floor. And let ourselves lift up. Tucking the tailbone down a little bit, drawing the belly in. Try and lower the bottom as carefully as we can. So we just start to take the weight into the heels. In my case, the toes feel like it's just left the floor. And slowly stand it up. And take it into a little back bend. Bring the hands in towards the heart. Close the eyes. So to press the legs and the feet directly down into the floor. So being very conscious with the eyes closed to not press into the back of the legs or push the hips forwards. Try and bring everything underneath. Press everything down evenly through both legs. The reaction of pressing down, the muscles lift. You'll feel that in your thighs and the buttocks. And we'll ease as we open the eyes into a forward bend. Soften the knees gently. Coming forwards, fingertips to the floor. Take it back into a down dog and bring the knees right down to the ground. We'll spin the feet out to the side. And we'll take the block underneath the bottom. The legs out in front. So we're going to come into Dandasana, just drawing the flesh around a little bit. Get to a more natural position on those sitting bones. And sitting tall, you're going to start to flex the feet towards us. Roll the thighs in a little bit. Feel like you're lengthening the legs away. Draw the belly in. Sitting bones pressing down. Shoulders rolling back. Sounds simple. It's a challenge. Ideally, big toe and little toe are now the same distance from your body. Now, take this into a twist. We're going to take this left leg underneath, out towards the right hip. Ideally, that left knee is pointing forwards directly, and the shin is down on the ground underneath. I'll take the right leg across, bring that in close to the body. So I'm using the hand to scoot that in a little bit, and then the foot flat to the floor, tilting the pelvis. I'm just going to take the left hand through to the right side, so I can bring the elbow into place. I'm going to have the hand high together, palm facing out to the side. I'm going to press the arm and the leg towards each other to help me rotate round. Just tilting the pelvis forwards a little bit and being very conscious to keep both sitting bones down on the ground. And relax the bottom leg a little bit if you can. Press a little into that top foot. Not easy to get one leg to turn on, one leg turn off. That's why we're asking you. It just sort of keeps the mind focused on what we're doing in the twist. Okay, now release from there. And repeat that to the opposite side. and release from there as well. The legs and back out again. I'm going to keep the feet close together and draw the right foot in, but I'm going to bring it right in towards the groin. Wrap the left arm around. So I'm going to take a little hug here. Draw the knee in towards the body. Again, just trying to tilt the pelvis forwards a fraction. Rotating the spine round and pressing out through a flexed long leg towards the sky. And using the arms to hold that knee in towards the body. And release that out. And we'll do the same with the opposite side. Again, just folding the knee in towards the body, taking the arms around. See if we can hold on to both elbows. So just crossing the forearms, squeezing the knee in towards the body. Lifting out through that long leg. Try and keep the shoulders relaxed if you can. Away from the ears. Tilt that pelvis forwards a little bit, draw the belly in. Tighten your lower back in your hips, buttocks. You definitely will feel these twists, even though it doesn't look much from the outside. And we can release from there as well. Give this legs a little bit of a shake, and then we'll ease the heels in towards the bottom. As close as you can. See if we can take the middle finger, index finger around the big toe. Lift the body up out of the pelvis. Make sure you bring that as much into neutral as you can. Then press the little toes down into the floor and try to open the feet up like a book, but without using the strength of your hands. You're just trying to move the feet away from each other. So the knees are gradually being pressed down towards the floor, but we're not thinking about actually pressing the knees down. It's coming from the fact that the feet are trying to move in that direction. They're the cause, and that's what we see happening. Release. Ooh. Immediately the knees spring up an inch or so and come down onto the floor, and move the block all the way to the back of the mat. It's nice and high. Use those hands to roll the spine down to the floor. Gradually bring that block underneath the back of the head. And just allow myself the chance to wriggle out through the spine a few times. And then draw that left knee towards the body. Just give it a squeeze. And release. Keep the opposite leg in. And we'll take the blocks in between the knees. feet back, hip distance apart. Bring the hands alongside the body. We're just going to take a couple of bridges, well, probably about 5 actually. We tuck the tailbone underneath, draw the belly in, and slowly lift up. Now squeeze the thighs gently together, and we're only looking for a line between the knees, the hips, and the shoulders. We're pressing down through the back of the shoulders into the arms, lift the hips, press the knees forwards and the feet down, and then we're rolling the spine back down again. So we're not coming super high. We are getting a little bit of back posterior work. Let ourselves lift up again. Taking those cues into action. Rolling the spine down again. Using the whole of the breath to come to the floor. Breath in at the bottom. The exhale, squeeze your way back up. Exhaling down. Two more. Nice one. We'll take the block behind the back of the head again. Slowly lengthen the heels out to the corner edges of the mat. Hands down by the side of the body into Shavasana and sink into that mat with the eyes closed. Begin to just wriggle those fingers and toes. Wrists and ankles to join in. Stretch it out when you're ready. Slide the heels in towards your body. Ready for your hug. Take a breath. Roll it over to your right side. Exhale it out. Take a breath on the floor. And press into the hands on that next exhale to lift up. Ease your way. into your Monday morning. Hands in towards your heart. Take a breath in. Eyes closed. Chin drops. Exhale begins. It draws to the spine. That simple bow forms. In our practice. Heading up with your breath, building the spine for you. Head lifts, eyes open. Namaste. Have a wonderful day. See you on the mat again soon.